All right, let's get me more angrier. Angrier.
Oh man, I don't know.
Should
we have a smoke break first? I might need a cigarette before we do this.
I need to call Jesse the body,
Let's.
and he needs to get me a cigarette.
So this past week, Tyler, this movie kind of spread like a wildfire across everything because it's
Because they bought out
people.
theaters?
Oh yeah, I know.
Because Christian conservatives have a lot of money?
So anyway, let's talk about the movie that everybody seems to be talking about right
taking
now.
away food assistance for the elderly and children?
Starring Jesus Christ himself, Jim Caviezel.
I got struck by lightning. That's because Jesus was telling you.
I got caught in a thief. No, different guy. Because you were doing the PB.
As we stated earlier in the show, God was telling you to stop making that movie, motherfucker. Stop it.
Does that sound like a lightning bolt?
Well, then the actual Jesus was like, Dad, that's two. I don't think they're gonna stop. We might have to blow up the world for that to happen.
And then God said,
I got what I paid for.
Fucking A.
and then Jesus said,
Godspeed, Spider-Man.
Makes no fucking sense.
no, it doesn't.
Do the what?
Which one?
What?
There you go. Let's move on.
I could write a book about what you don't know.
Speaking of that,
Yeah, Sound of Freedom is the movie that's
Jesus.
on everybody's lips. So it's being trumpeted by the far right in religious groups as a movie that Hollywood doesn't want you to see.
the same people that watched the Tucker Carlson interview with Andrew Tate. Okay.
Right. We protect the children. We're against human trafficking.
Well, because if it's adult human trafficking, then it's fine, apparently.
But let's hear this guy out.
Sure.
Anyway.
Did you get some quotes or anything? Oh.
I got some clips. I got a fun thing. So now you say, Jake.
Jake.
This is what you get with free apps. You don't get free air. Get off
We're
here.
giving you a goddamn free motherfucking...
All 6 of our listeners. All right. So what do I mean? Like who could possibly be talking about Sound of Freedom that I would call
Ryan
far right?
Cannell?
Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers as well.
So
I'll play this first one, and I want you to know. So both their videos are similar, obviously, but he saw the movie, thought it was great, and there's no politics in the movie. Now I have not seen the movie.
Me neither.
I don't intend to see the movie because I found out about the real life person this movie is based on. But so this is what's frustrating.
Internet sleuths went to work right away.
We talked about this when we used to do a conspiracy podcast. This is the problem with QAnon. And this is the problem with the QAnon adjacent movie, because it is, and I'll explain why later. Like get some popcorn, sit down, because it's gonna be.
We're gonna be unwrapping the onion here.
So the reason I have a big issue with Q and how it gets into people's consciousness and gets into people's people that I know, they get wrapped up in this, is because it takes this universal thing that everybody agrees is awful and horrible.
Yep.
And we should do something about it, like human trafficking and child trafficking. And it takes that and then tinges it and twists it into this conspiracy. Because I got something to tell you. The movie that this guy is based on is a liar.
Yep.
A liar.
Yep.
You remember... do you remember Coney?
Most groups...
Tyler, hold on. Do you remember Coney 2012? Where it was like this thing to... Because this is what this reminds me of. Back in 2012, there was this organization that was sweeping up. Everybody was talking about like this thing for... it was called Coney 2012, and it was like helping... I think it was an African country. I can't remember. I want to look this up. But anyway, what were you saying before I...
shit.
But the conversation...
No, I was going to say that most universal, worldwide groups that are actually helping to stop human trafficking of all ages agree that this guy is a schmuck, and most of what he does is counterproductive to what they're trying to do. So, in effect, experts, and I know the far right doesn't believe in experts, but experts about this kind of thing agree that if he did nothing, more children would be saved. So put that in your fucking pipe and smoke it, Jeremy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's hear from this fuck.
But anyway, he's trying. The whole narrative that they're trying to spin is that people are being ridiculous because that this is a movie about the evils of
How could you be against this movie?
And whatever. And I'm not saying that the movie isn't about that, but it also is. And again, it's taking this universal thing that we all agree is deplorable and evil and bad, and then twisting it for your own financial gain and your own narrative gain. But anyway, I really wanted to clip this out because it's really funny that Jeremy uses this example when he's defending something he likes.
It really does hit home the point that so many people in our society and in our culture, they are
by the way, sorry,
focused on being...
He's using like the trafficking and the subject matter of this movie to talk about how this shit is pointless, this bickering.
Fake victims and fake offended when there are real problems going on in this world right now, real problems that are affecting real children. And yet you have many people that just want to invent fake problems so that they can pretend to be the victim over it. And it's disgusting.
You
just described your grift.
You fuck.
You do this.
And hey, guess who's hurting kids? With your anti-trans rhetoric, you fuck, and your anti-fucking LGBT rhetoric, you fuck. So, fuck you,
That's
dude.
what I mean.
You fucking white privileged motherfucker, you.
This is why I clipped it. Tyler, this is why I clipped it. Because how dare you?
How you, dude. Yeah.
Dare you take a moral high ground for this movie?
You make your money selling hate, motherfucker.
You make your money.
You sell hate.
Selling.
That's how you
rage videos.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
You just described what you literally do.
Wait, 1, 2, 3. Fuck you, dude. Oh. Fuck you, dude.
Nailed it.
We're ready for America's Got Talent.
So again, echoing what.
So what are you two going to do today? Well, we're gonna come out. We're both gonna say "fuck you, dude" at the same time.
We're moving on.
Is that the entire act?
Anyway, so yeah, you got guys like Jeremy talking about it, and of course, the film is based on Tim Ballard and his group Operation Underground Railroad, an anti-trafficking group that rescues children from human trafficking, and that's what they're described as. Sound of Freedom made $14.2 million on its opening day, Independence Day, a Tuesday. But Independence Day traditionally is usually good for movies. And it got a lot of buzz because it beat Indiana Jones on July 4th. So Indiana Jones made $11.7 million. And that led to more attention and more of these guys talking about it, like Ryan Cano.
Sound of Freedom is a small budget movie, $14 million to be precise, that was made 5 years ago. Yet Disney refused to put this out. It was originally made distribution rights for 20th Century Fox.
Oh, you're going to love where this
Disney
goes.
bought 20th Century Fox but didn't want to put it out. Strange that Disney didn't want to put out a movie about child trafficking. Weird, isn't it?
Lazy.
And now it's finally
lazy.
And it is dominating when you look at it compared to Indiana Jones on a per theater basis. Sound of Freedom beats
per
Disney's
theater
Indiana
basis.
Jones by millions on 2004
Three.
on July 4th. And that just continued. It continued to be competitive throughout the weekend. Sound of Freedom dominates box office on opening day. And now when we got to the weekend, you can see Sound of Freedom, despite it being on less than 3,000 screens, was challenging Indiana Jones for second place, and on a per theater basis, made more money than Indiana Jones. And ironically, it looks like a lot of people in activist media, in the Hollywood media, want to put down this movie for some strange reason.
Oh, because they're groomers.
A movie
we got them.
is about combating human trafficking. That is based on a true story, by the way. It's not just made up. It's not some fiction. It's not some conspiracy theory.
It is.
This is a real person's life who founded the organization Operation Underground Railroad, where they have saved thousands of children.
Okay. I'm not denying that they probably have saved some kids. But
as I said, there are experts among this type of thing who agree that if Tim Ballard didn't do shit, more children would be saved. More people would be saved. He is counterproductive. He's basically okay.
he-
You know what? Say you're doing a sting, right? And you're wearing a wire, and you got to walk in with your friend, okay, into a situation where you got to be really, really cool and get somebody to say something, right? Cool, right? And your friend's a fucking moron. Your friend is Tim Ballard, and you walk in, and everything's going just fine. And then at the critical moment when you're about to fucking get that guy to say something, Tim Ballard stands up and goes, "He's wearing a wire." That's what he does. So
we'll get there. We'll get there. So
if you're a cop and your partner is Tim Ballard, you're not going to sneak up on anybody because he'll be like,
the Vice.
"We're going to get his ass right." Shut the fuck up.
There's a really good Vice article about this
Yeah.
that we're going to be taking from it.
Oh yeah.
That talks about this, and they say that, yeah, like you said, there's many experts that do this that say their undercover things fuck this up
Yes.
a lot of the time.
Yes, they don't know
But
what they're doing.
Back
is
to
the
the
problem.
movie itself. Back to Sound of Freedom.
He's trying to make himself the hero when it's not. That's not what this fucking shit is about. This shit is about saving people, not fucking championing you. You fucking asshole.
Worth
God.
noting.
Jesus.
Worth noting that about 2.6 million of opening day sales were earned through the Pay It Forward app, which the company framed as a way to raise awareness about child trafficking.
Sure.
So that's what I mean. I've heard a lot of reports of
See my movie.
people buying tickets and buying out theaters to bump the sales. But also worth noting that Indiana Jones was on its 5th day when it was up against Sound of Freedom, when we all know opening day movies usually make more money because people want to go see it.
Right.
Also worth noting, did you know, and I did not know this until like 2 days ago, that or last weekend, that there was an Insidious movie coming out this summer? Because that movie had virtually no marketing, and it made number 1 of the box office. Sound of Freedom dropped to 3rd. Indiana Jones eventually did take over and in 2nd place. So that victory was great for an opening, and that movie, again, this movie's made more money than I think most people expected. But it's just, there's a lot around this that, you know, that is questionable because, yeah, Insidious, The Red Door, doubled the Sound of Freedom's gross without like no marketing, and so again, it finished 3rd in the box office.
Insidious is a popular horror franchise.
Now, look, if you
Patrick Wilson directed.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't see this movie or don't see this movie.
Yeah, go
Do
for it.
Whatever you want to do, I don't care. But keep in mind who is involved with making this movie.
Keep in mind
Because
who wants you to see this movie.
This movie is very the approach to this. This Tim Ballard guy himself just seems very self-righteous about this, and you find out that he's fucked up a lot of situations and he's a liar. So again, this is directly from that Vice News article. Vice News had previously reported a number of OURs, Underground Operation Railroads, claims about its work are dramatically overstated or without clear documentary evidence.
This is the article I read, yep.
Yep. People who have volunteered for OUR have raised concerns that it could actually have been creating demand for trafficking victims by going to foreign countries on undercover, air quotes, missions that at times have seemed to consist of walking around bars and sex clubs asking for underage girls. The organization's support for law enforcement has at times been wildly exaggerated and involved OUR taking credit for agency's operations after making relatively trivial donations, and its much-touted aftercare program for survivors has at times involved things like placing women with unqualified providers and even fabricating a college graduation ceremony.
They in that same article, I think you should find. I don't know if you can find it, but in that same article, they talked about they saved like I can't remember how many people, and then within like 2 months they were on their own.
Yeah,
the people that they saved,
Yeah.
these victims, no assistance whatsoever, just on the street.
we'll have a link to it in this in the episode. You should definitely read that article. It's great because there's another passage I'm pulling from it too. In another story uncovered by Vice News, OUR, OUR, heavily marketed its role in the rescue of Liliana, a young trafficking survivor, with Ballard telling a fanciful story about his rescue in the congressional testimony and in op-eds and media appearances. So yeah, for a while, he was making the rounds as this hero because of this story. And this is what upsets me. This poor girl had something unimaginable happen to her. This was a child. And this is what's so frustrating, because I'm getting worked up talking about it because it's a kid. And I keep thinking, I keep saying, you have got to be careful with this shit, because people like this asshole will lie. And the reason I'm saying he's lying, because after he makes all these media appearances, he called for a border wall directly to the President of the United States. She, in fact, was rescued herself and did not meet our representatives until years after she had done so, when she was preparing to testify against her traffickers in court. So because she was in court, she had to say that that was not true. He lied. He took advantage of a child that had their childhood robbed from them. It's pathetic.
For political clout. Huh, who else do we know that uses children for political clout? Governor Reynolds.
So when
Fucking
people
scumbag.
ask Jake, why don't you support this movie? It's it's against child trafficking and blah 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 blah. That's why.
Because we've done our
'Cause they're
fucking
liars.
research, dude.
Because they're liars.
We did our research.
And if you don't believe me, listen to this.
Let's
It's a
do
long
this.
one,
Sure.
but hear it from the fucking horse's mouth.
Okay.
Horse's mouth itself.
Hortzes.
Really red light district. You gotta be really bad, okay, to get
Talk
arrested.
about a
in
mission
Holland.
in
They were arrested in
Holland.
2020. Fugitives. They ran, and they were hiding. No one knew who they were. Well, they rear their ugly heads. The leader, this guy named Nelson Matterman, he raises. I'm literally in Poland at the time, at our staging operation for Ukraine, and I get this information that this guy in Mexico is trying to traffic kids out of Ukraine. And so I go undercover. The Dutch asset who gave me that information infiltrated me, and I'm undercover talking to this guy. Well, in the end, we ended up, in fact, just yesterday, 2 of the guys were convicted in Ecuador because it led us to Ecuador, a child sex hotel, these pedophiles from Holland, and set up. But we'll get it.
Real quick, we're about, I don't even know what time we are on this, but this man is not telling the truth. This sounds like a guy who's making up the story in the room.
As he goes along, yep.
We'll get into that another time, okay? But the point I'm making is, I had to study their literature. This was a political platform. This was a political party. And what I started recognizing is, I named
A
them
political party.
I don't know. I call it the pedophile network doctrines.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
It's like they include things like separate children from parents. Parents are a bad influence. The state knows best. Sexualize kids. Let them see pornography. 2.
Karl Marx.
3. Take God
Karl
out of
Marx,
education,
that was
because
Jim
that just gets
Caviezel.
in the way. And kids consent. Children can consent to anything. At 12 years old, they should be able to vote. They should be able to do anything. Now, what am I saying here? My stomach is getting sick as I'm reading this. I read this every day. It's the woke left agenda.
I bet you fucking read
I'm
it
not
every
saying
day.
that
You
they're
wrote it.
reading or talking. It doesn't matter. It's the same dark source. But they are peddling.
So the woke left. Wow. So that is why these far-right groups, these religious groups, rallied behind this movie. Because that fucking guy is a part of it. And if there's any question that he isn't involved with this movie, he was doing media with Jim Caviezel.
I have some stuff.
Just
So
don't get too loud,
I won't. I
please.
know we got stuff, but so I worked for the Women's Crisis Center in Denver, and we actually had some limited training on this type of stuff. And basically, what goes on is this. Okay, so if you teach your child that their body's dirty and don't talk to them about their body, if somebody abuses your child, they're going to
Accept it.
They're not going to say anything when the person tells them not to, okay?
Right.
Because they don't know how to. They don't know that that's wrong. They don't know that they have autonomy. It is not about it's not about kids watching porn, you fucking idiots. It's about kids being autonomous of their own body
and knowing
at
what
an
that
early
is.
age,
And they know
so
what
that
that
they
is.
can say if somebody tries to touch them,
Yes,
fuck
yes.
you, man. And they can go to somebody and say, hey, that dude or that woman,
Exactly.
whatever.
Yes.
That is all what that's about. And it is also so very important to a healthy adult sex life, to healthy adults in general, to be aware of your body and what it is and understand what things happen. I mean, I know, motherfucker, that you've never had a period. I know you have never had one. And God forbid if you have daughters and had to fucking deal with that, and they had to deal with you as their dad. I mean, fuck, Jesus Christ. I can't. What's going on? You're bleeding? I don't understand. I mean, you know that would happen, right? But, dude, I mean, this whole.
This is why it's frustrating, because it's like I said, this is why it gets it's like, you know, it gets infected in people's brains.
God
this
damn
is
it.
the problem.
Yes.
Because it's something that is emotional. It is something that drives you insane. I had to talk in a certain tone to deliver that information because it's so bad.
Oh, I fucking and you know, and like I said, like one of the things that we did when we went door to I canvassed. So I went door to door every day for like 7 hours trying to raise money. And yeah, I had one guy come to the door and wouldn't open the screen door, and I told him where I was there for, and he had a whole dinner party, probably about 8 men and women, adults, all white. And he said, well, I haven't raped anybody today, but if I do, I'll be sure to give you a call. Jeez. And everybody at that fucking table laughed, dude. Ugh. I had to go down and sit and fucking at the corner and smoke like 4 cigarettes before I was ready to go to the next house. I was so fucking livid. Later, this person that I worked with said, you could have called the cops on him because he said da-da-da-da-da. And I wish I would have. Because fuck that fucking human being, dude. Fuck human beings like that think that that's funny.
Yeah.
That's not funny.
No.
So anyway, the point is we canvassed and we would give out literature. And one of the things that we did was representatives from our organization would go to schools and they would teach kids about good touch, bad touch. It's not fucking pornography or sex scenes in books. You
sex
fucking reactionary fucks.
Shit.
It's, hey, that's yours and nobody gets to touch it but you.
Yes. That is all.
That's it.
It's just telling these kids to be smart and understand what adults can and can't do with them, and understand what boundaries are.
If you and Ryan and Jeremy and Tim, if you guys have fucking problems with telling kids that that's theirs and no one else can touch it but them unless they allow it, then you're the fucking groomer, motherfucker. Okay,
Yeah.
You're the ones who have fucking problems. And by the way, with all this talk about this, you know, stuff, like, I think this is the first time in like 6 months that we've even touched upon children's genitals. These guys do it every fucking day. So who's really fucking concerned about, you know what I mean?
I said this.
Sorry, I got a little loud.
No, well, no. I've said this when I see it on Twitter with, you know, Ben Shapiro and all these other conservative talking heads.
Nice yarmulke, dude. Yeah. Virtue signaling at its fucking worst, dude.
Anyway,
the fucking worst.
It's.
I'm Jewish. Look.
I also said if you are Jew and you voted for Obama, you're not a real Jew.
Yeah. No, we know, Ben. It's virtue signaling. Yeah. You are the fucking.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro, like clockwork, will tweet about something about grooming or kids. You know, any fucking conservative wingnut, and. It's like you guys talk more about children's genitals than anybody, dude. With all this
Eric July,
with all this fucking
Eric July,
with all this fucking transphobic shit and all this homophobic shit and groomer this and groomer that and pedophiles this and that. It's like, you know what you're doing? One, some of you are projecting. Two, you're trying to poison the well. And say anybody that has a dissenting, anybody that has a problem with Tim Ballard or this fucking movie, then you have to be pro pedophile, and that's not fucking true at all.
Well, it's the same bullshit with if you don't love Trump,
everything.
You're not a patriot.
If it's gay, it's going after your kids.
Right,
if it's trans, it's going after your kids.
If you don't love Trump, you're not a patriot. That type of bullshit.
Yeah.
It's
Fuck
fucking
you.
cult fucking thinking, and it's fucking fascism. And you guys are all fucking fascists. You're all fucking hate-filled crumpets of shit.
So bring it around.
Did I say crumpets?
There's a reason.
Crumpets?
There's a reason Vice has this article out. There's a reason why the Rolling Stone, power to them, in their review, said what it is. It's fucking QAnon boomer superhero fantasy. And
countless articles online, dude.
So
countless by reputable sources.
To say it as clear as I can, to make it real simple for the really stupid ones out there. No one is pro-child trafficking. That is a decent, normal human being. Nobody is for that.
Nope.
But guys like Tim in this fucking movie hurt the people doing the real work.
Yep.
And it's just like that save the children hashtag bullshit from QAnon. It damages the people doing the real work out there.
Yeah.
And that's why I will never support this.
You're
movie.
creating
I will never
you're creating a
fucking watch
false
this movie.
enemy so that the real enemy is going free. That's the problem. You're creating this false enemy that are
taking
genial
a real problem
yes,
and mutilating it,
ghosting
to your
us
narrative.
and fucking ghosting us, dude. Gaslighting it, dude. You're fucking gaslighting it. You're saying, "Hey, it's all these people over here," when we fucking know it's the motherfuckers that you go to rallies for. Because they have the money to hold rallies, motherfucker. Don't you understand? The people who are trafficking are not poor fucking gay dudes who work at your coffee shop. They don't have any money. It's fucking Trump and those guys who have money. They have nothing better to
guy
do with
who
their
was
money.
friends
They've
with
bought
Epstein.
everything. They've bought everything. They've bought everything. What's next to buy? What's left to buy? I've already made all this money. Oh, people. If you don't think right now, as I'm speaking, that there's some poor schmuck on an island somewhere on this world
Being
getting hunted,
Yeah.
then you're fucking naive, dude.
There's got to be.
Probably 4 or 5 right now, I would wager.
5? Seems a bit
On
high.
different. There's a lot of fucking billionaires with a lot of fucking time, dude. Exploiting workers
I mean,
doesn't take
how
that
many
much time.
But you know what makes me laugh about that? Because that plot has been used multiple times in movies. And that's not a plot that I'm like, most of the time you see a movie, like, there's no way shit like that would happen. When I watch those, I'm like, oh, I believe it.
You know what really sucks?
I would watch it.
No. You know what really sucks?
Wouldn't you?
That's how I'm gonna die.
But what if they're given a fighting chance? Like, what if they could kill the hunters?
I
See,
think anybody who is willing to hunt another human being wouldn't give that human being any sort of chance
No,
because
but
they're
but
fucking
the
giant
show
pussies in
does.
general.
It's like Extreme Survivor with
Oh, you're talking about a reality show.
no. But if it was like not really, no.
Don't give anybody the idea, dude.
No, I'm saying a movie. No, I meant a
Okay,
movie.
okay.
In a movie, not a real reality show.
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.